Today, we're talking about what the whole nation has woken up with shock to behold. Video footage of a young boy, Adisadel College student, being bullied in the most brutal way you can imagine. The images show a boy being held in a headlock by a bigger student, physically bigger student, who then wraps his arm around the back of his head in a chokehold and then bangs the boy's head on the frame of a metal bed. Immediately, a swelling emerges on the side of this boy's face, a big swelling the size of a golf ball on the right cheek of this boy who's a victim of the bullying. Now, while all this is happening, it's being filmed. As you can imagine, lots of horrible things get filmed these days. And let us be clear, if you're able to film wrongdoing, it's a good thing. Film it so there is evidence and it can be dealt with. Unfortunately, though, the person filming this particular incident is laughing and running commentary while it's happening. These two boys are surrounded by other students who are all laughing, seeming to enjoy the pain of this boy being bullied. At Disco, an official statement has been cited from Adisadel that says that the housemaster has been suspended. There's also been a statement from the Ghana Education Service commending Adisadel for taking action and also reporting that the culprit, singular, has been suspended. We're going to get details of what has happened. We're going to figure out what this actually means. How prevalent is the problem of bullying? What can we do to deal with it? What have we failed to do which has led to, its prevalence? And most importantly, what is the effect of this on young people, victims? And in fact, bullying has an effect even on perpetrators as well as witnesses. So today we'll talk about all of those. Stay tuned, it's going to be fascinating. But this is the beginning of an important movement to end bullying. That's our hashtag, #end bullying. And we're encouraging you all to share your stories of bullying. Were you bullied in school? Tell us the story. What happened to you? Or maybe you were the bully, a recovered bully. Tell us, what is it that made you do it? Help us understand. Get us into the mind of a student who bullies others. Okay, help us understand so we can solve the problem.
Let's continue and talk about bullying.
Yeah, it's a big problem. It's a very big problem. I've been looking at some statistics that were put together by various institutions in the global study. Okay, so Bureau of Justice Statistics worked together with the US Department of Health and Human Services and the UK's National Bullying Prevention Centre and a few other institutions, including stopbullying.gov. They did a global study and discovered several really troubling details about bullying across the world. Approximately 1.6 million teenagers skip school because of bullying. That in itself is scary. But we're going to get into the details of it. Our guests on the phone, Cassandra Twum Ampofo is the head of public relations at the Ghana Education Service. We also will be speaking to Kofi Asare. He's executive director of the Africa Education Watch. First, let's get up to date on the situation in Adisco with Cassandra Twum Ampofo. Cassandra, it's a pleasure to have you. Good morning. Do we have Cassandra on the line?
Yes.
There you are.
On the line.
There you are. Good morning to you. Thank you for your time. So we've seen the statement from the Ghana Education Service. We want to check a couple of details. First of all, it says that the culprit has been suspended. Culprit, singular. But anyone who watches the video can see that there was more than one person involved in this bullying incident. Apart from the person who took the physical action against the young victim, there was also all the onlookers who were laughing, plus the person who was filming, running commentary and laughing as well. Are they not being considered as culprits too?
Good morning, Kojo, and many thanks for having me. Yes, we indicated culprits because in the heat of events, that was what the school did. But we as Ghana Education Service, seeing the video and then engaging our regional director He also went there, gotten all that information, and so we have started administrative procedures, that administrative investigations, and so definitely all those that stood on, the one that was recording, the others, I mean, in the dormitory, definitely would be brought to book when we are done. But this is what happened in the school. So if you read the line, you realize that we commended the school for that swift action. So that's exactly what they did and what they told us. But we are going to investigate fully, and all those that were involved definitely will be brought to book, and then whatever administrative sanctions we would go ahead with it.
All right. Now, we are also picking up some reports that the victim was also suspended by the school. Is the GES aware of any such action?
Not yet.
Okay. What in the briefing that GES has received from the school, what has happened to the victim? Where is the victim?
I think because he got hurt, what we know is that he was asked to go home so that he could get medical attention. And so that is what we know for now. He wasn't actually suspended, but rather to go home for medical attention after the school infirmary or the school sick bay handled it, gave first aid.
Right. So after they gave first aid, what is the state of the student? What state is he in? What is the state of his injuries?
Well, per the feedback we got from the school, he is responding to treatment. I have personally not checked this morning how the student is faring. We have requested the school, and then even though the culprit or the guy in question has been asked to go home, we've also invited him. And so even this afternoon, the Deputy Minister, the Director General, will all be meeting them again at the GES headquarters. And so I know that when they come, we will definitely get the current, how the victim is responding with regards to his injury.
Did the school seek any or provide any psychological support for the victim?
That is what it's supposed to be, but I haven't gotten that update yet. We have our counselors in all the senior high schools, and just as occasionally they meet them and take them through the code of conduct and all of that. We know, and it's expected of them to do. I believe that they must have done that by now. This incident happened in June. Unfortunately, we didn't see action was taken within the school. It appears as one of the students that recorded decided or chose to release the video. But it's all good because they also brought our attention to what was happening. And so we take it from there.
Right. So the victim has been at home since June.
No. I'm saying that the issue, I'm told, happened around 30th, 1st July, thereabouts. Yes. And so for the victim being at home up to that time, I do not have that update yet because it came to our attention last night, and that's how we quickly release the statement. And so we'll get the further and better details when they come this month.
But when you were briefed last night, you were told that the victim is at home. Is that correct?
We were told that the victim was asked to go home after the first aid to seek further medical attention.
Okay. And that is the current state of the victim, that the victim is at home following first aid at the school after the incident. Is that correct?
No. I will have to find out that specifically whether the victim is still at home.
Okay. Now, generally, what are are there guidelines for schools, for teachers, for students regarding bullying? Are there Ghana Education Service guidelines?
Yes, we have for code of conduct, we do have in all our senior high schools. When we talk about teachers, we have professional code of conduct that is also for all staff. And so, yes, we do have. For that of the senior high school, what we have a slight challenge, and that we are almost through it, is the fact that we do not have a general comprehensive code of conduct. So you realize that, for example, if something happens in maybe school A, their sanctions might be different from what will happen in school B, because individual schools, they have their own code of conduct. And as I speak to you, we are done with the comprehensive one. And on Thursday, God willing, our plan, we are laying before council the new comprehensive code of conduct, so the council will look at it, review, validate, and give us the approval. And so very soon, that's in the pipeline. But until then, the schools have their code of conduct, which all schools, I must say, detest or is against violence and assault of this particular kind that we have seen.
Okay, so there is no, not yet, until council approves it, there is no general code of conduct that governs the management of bullying in Ghanaian schools.
One, let me say that the comprehensive code of conduct, let me again explain that we are harmonizing all the schools' code of conduct so that we don't have individual schools' code of conduct. Mm-hmm. That you pick school A's code of conduct, and probably the offenses and then the sanctions would be different from school B. So it's just a harmonization. Right. That is not to say that we do not have them at all. It is happening and we operate them. Okay. When you are admitted into a school for the very first time, first years when they go, as part of the items that we give to you as a first year student, you are given the code of conduct.
Right.
During orientation, for first years, they are taken through the school's code of conduct.
Right.
When they have their counseling sessions occasionally in the school, the counselors also remind them of the school code of conduct so that they live up to expectations. Okay. And so we do have them individually, just as we want to harmonize and have one. So when you go to all our secondary schools, there's that one or that common code of conduct that all of the schools will be using.
I see. All right. So let's talk about this specific school, Adisadel College. What does the Ghana Education Service, what information do you have about their codes of conduct when it comes to bullying specifically? So if a child is enrolled at Adisadel College, what guidelines is that child given on how to manage bullying?
We've asked the regional director to investigate this matter, and so I do not want to go ahead talk about bullying, because the next time, Kojo, you ask about, so what will be what's the appropriate sanction? We just don't want to go ahead of what they are doing. But generally, when bullying, assault, violence of that sort, depending on the magnitude, there's dismissal, there's demonization, there's suspension, and all of that. So it depends on the level. And so seeing this video, the region taking over to do the investigations, and we're expecting them to report, definitely we will know the extent, the school and everything will be on board, and so we'll know the punishment or the sanctions to give. What I can say currently is that, and what I want to put on record is that this is barbaric, this is evil, we do not like what has happened at all. And so definitely, like my statement indicated, we are not taking it lightly at all. And so we want to assure, in fact, we recently even launched our Safe School logo that shows that indeed in our schools, so in all the schools, it's even expected that the logo will be there to show that indeed we expect all our schools to be safe for effective teaching and learning. And that's why we are even saying that no bullying of any form, no sexual harassment of any form, whatever that will make the school environment a terrible place that would affect the smooth teaching and learning shouldn't happen. And so we want to take this opportunity to assure everyone that, yes, this is just one out of the cases that we are seriously or will seriously deal with. Our school environment will ensure that school environment becomes safe for our students and teachers as well.
So, Madam Twum Ampofo, what I was even asking was from the perspective of the student. What does a student do if they are being bullied? As far as the Ghana Education Service is aware, what are the guidelines for students at Adisadel College? If I send my child there next academic year, what will my child be told by the school as the procedure if he finds himself being bullied?
Yeah, so you have your code of conduct. Like I indicated, we give them the code of conduct. And so when you are bullied, you know your reporting channels. We have house mistresses, house masters at the house level. And so the very first point of call when you are bullied is to tell in fact, even in the dormitories, we have the prefect. And that's the reason why if you are a junior or whatever and you are bullied, you have your prefect within you. Your house, it could be your dorm prefect, it could be your house prefect, and so it moves on and on. If you cannot even use your students or your colleagues, you cannot even tell them, that's the reason why the house master or the house mistress is there. So that is the first point of call, to report. And then the school authorities will take up from that. Depending on the bullying or the magnitude, the students can be given groundwork or something. The students can be given internal suspension or external suspension, or can be deboardinized. So the rules or the guidelines are there. It's stipulated. Right. If you want me to quote verbatim what's in Adisadel, I do not have the code right before me
I think you've been clear enough. What you're saying to us is that the remedy is for the victim to report it to authorities, whether it's a prefect, housemaster, but the remedy in place is that if a student finds themselves a victim of bullying, the remedy is that they should report it. Am I correct?
No, but you asked the first point, the guidelines, and I was just taking you through. Yes, of course, if you are bullied.
So yes, I'm correct.
You should let the appropriate authorities know. No, you just can't keep it to yourself.
Right.
Yes, so once you are within the school environment, and it happens, even at the workplace, if something happens to
Cassandra,
somebody,
what I want to know is how effective do you find this remedy? When a child is being bullied, do you find that they find it easy to report it to the authorities? Does that not increase the victimization?
Well, we always encourage them to report whatever that is going wrong within the school environment. As to the effectiveness, depends on, we can always have a discussion around it. Maybe if the reporting channels are not effective or probably are not enough, we can always have a discussion around it.
Okay.
And so whatever suggestion there is, and that's the reason why I said we are even harmonizing, or we are done with that process, and then we'll be laying before council. So even with this that has happened, we still can have a look. Definitely council has also heard. We'll still really look at where we have stipulated the bullying and all of the assault and violence in the harmonized code of conduct. And probably now, if there's something that we have to do to strengthen or to tighten the knot in the code of conduct, I think the time is also now for us to even do it, looking at what has just happened.
All right. You just heard Cassandra Twum Ampofo. She's in charge of public relations at the Ghana Education Service. Stay with us, Cassandra. Thanks to all of you who have joined us from wherever you are. If you're in Kumasi, thank you so much for tuning in to Love FM. In Cape Coast, ATL FM is piping the whole of the Super Morning Show across the central region. Thank you so much for joining us on 100.5 megahertz. Now, we are also speaking to Kofi Asare. He's Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Dr. Collins Badu-Agyemang is a psychologist and senior lecturer at the Department of Psychology, University of Ghana. He's a mentor for the youth as well, and he has some perspectives on the effect of bullying. Good morning to you both, Mr. Asare and Dr. Badu-Agyemang.
Good morning, Kojo.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo.
Right. Kofi, if you don't mind, I'm going to save you till last. But I want some education from Dr. Badu-Agyemang. Bullying is something that so many people have gone through. All the studies suggest that at the very minimum, 1 in 5 students has been bullied. Talk to us about the effect this has on those who are victimized.
All right. I think I heard my sister speaking about some of the measures that they've put in place, especially when this matter happened. And I have my own reflections. But your question to me now, the effects this could have. Let me put on record that in 2016, myself and other colleague researchers, I have even shared that article with Winston. We looked at cyberbullying because that was becoming a current trend. Cyberbullying victimization, especially among university students in Ghana. And if you look at that time, what we found, it was beginning to creep in and affecting the psychological well-being of university students who were going through cyberbullying. In that paper, we concluded, given the increasing number of students within our educational space, we need to take a second look at adolescent bullying and narrowing in directly to especially the junior high schools, the secondary schools, and university levels. Now, bullying may have a number of risk factors. I must say, a lack of parental supervision at home. Parents who are overly permissive. Such students take liberties and they can do what they like and begin to have their way. Parents who are a bit harsh, overly physical in disciplining their children. If there is chaos at home, so many conflicts all the time, aggression, pressure from parents, a lack of parental warmth and involvement, all these could be family-level risk factors to someone becoming a bully. Now, I must say...
Doc, please hold on before you go on. I mean, just by way of clarification, are you suggesting that one of the first ways of tackling this is from the home?
Yes, we need to look at factors that may have led to that particular bully doing what they are doing. And I must say that is why we take some vitals, even in students. Where does your father work? Where is your mother? Are they living together? We take these details so that another officer, and in this case, the guidance and counseling professional who is supposed to be in these schools, supposed to be working well, supposed to be given the necessary logistics, supposed to be regulated well by another agency of government to ensure his or their work are being done, would also do their work.
When you say supposed to be working well, supposed to be doing, are you suggesting that they're not doing all these things?
Well, I mean, I have not mentioned the entire issues, but since you are asking, not to pick on my sister who just spoke, but I must say we have reiterated, especially Ghana Psychological Association, we need to take a better look at growing development within that space, adolescent mental health.
What's
there
the
are problems, many of them. At the Department of Psychology, the Center for Suicide and Violence Research, we have a lot of data regarding many issues that are happening. Some are very horrifying. Now, the little I can say, you go to many of these secondary schools, the guidance and counseling professional has been given courses to teach. We don't have adequate space to allow for their work to be done to support the populations of interest. When my sister was speaking, you heard her saying occasionally they work on these ones. Do we have data on the work of these ones? How do they work? Where do they work? Remember, counseling is a professional work. I don't think myself, Winston, Kwadwo, and Mamavi, the three of you can enter a doctor's consulting room simply because I want to care for Kwadwo. The same way we need spaces for these people to work. So it is a different discussion altogether if you want to go into whether things are being done the right way or not. And just to finalize on this, I must say, I have said on several platforms, you can Google it out, we must introduce psychological studies or mental health studies at the secondary school level. The challenges of our time, Kwejo, Mama V, and Winston, if I share some details with you, some of the cases our colleagues are seeing, we are sitting on a time bomb as far as adolescent mental health challenges are concerned. What we are seeing, remember, it happened in June. Can you imagine the trauma this student may have been going through? DES is not sure whether the person has been given holistic care. When my sister was speaking, she said medical attention. Is it medical attention this boy needs now? She's gone viral. He's gone viral. Everyone is looking at him. What happens next? It's not medical attention he needs now. Medical attention, bruises will go. He's a young man. His tissues
What
are
does he
working
need?
well within few days. What next? Does he go back to school? What is the reintegration strategy? What do we have? It is one thing having a code of conduct. It is another guarding, implementing, and making sure it works with proper feedback that we learn from.
Well, Doc, you started off by saying that you had your own reservations about the solutions that the Ghana Education Service is spelling out. Do you want to expand on that?
Yes, I will want to expand on that. And let me just highlight briefly why someone may do this. Then I comment on the specific issue and offer suggestions. So briefly, I have mentioned family factors. At schools, especially those who do athletics, famous ones, for a particular reason, national science and math quiz, this is the guru. These ones get followers. These ones can likely bully others because they are seen as known, they are popular. Sometimes prejudices, normal prejudices we are portrayed into our children, our generation, can spill over our schools. How we talk about other people from other areas, other ethnic background, all these can spill over and influence how people behave. Peer pressure. Sometimes we have in-group versus out-group within these dormitories. These are the friends, the cohorts, some kind of informal sex, not the serious type, but they have themselves. If you are not part, you are seen as an out-group person. You can't be bullied simply because you are not a member of us. Then background, like I said, payback time. This person may have gone through bullying at home. These ones, the research shows, they are more likely to also bully others if the opportunity comes. In schools, it becomes a kind of social power. I have some power over you. And that is why mostly you see the seniors, level 3, the third year, second year, more or less bullying, especially the first years who go. Those days, this is my son, this is my daughter. It was a beautiful mentoring approach. What happened to this beautiful goal that we had? It was playful, but it was a mentoring approach so that someone you see as my father, my school mother, will mentor you, help you, give you the best of support. But now it's changing. Now let me comment briefly on what happened. Who needs help? The victim himself, the culprit, all those who were present, that videographer, commentator. Now we must be careful, Ghana. When something happens, the eyewitness apathy is increasing. Well, media, they say sometimes we want to capture the news, which is not bad. That has given us evidence to understand what is happening. But after capturing it for 2 minutes, what should they have done? Couldn't they have helped? See how the guy locked his head. Have they watched it from TV? Is it possible what they are reading, watching videos, demonstrating how to disable someone physically? What the guy did, if he had continued for a few minutes, it could have been dangerous and the life of this young man could have been threatened. All these members need help. How is the dormitory leadership like? And I ask another question. We have a dormitory hall master, a dormitory hall mistress or something. What is the student population to the hall master or hall mistress or dormitory mistress or master? How is it like? How many students is this person overseeing? These are questions we need to ask. What specific guidelines are there? Now we know a lot of students are in these schools. Have we factored this in? These are questions we need to ask. I will be interested to know a full report on the outworkings of the guidance and counseling coordinator. Is it one person? If so, what spaces do they have? What plan of action do they have? How often do they meet different students? We don't only support students when there are crises. That is a reactive approach. We need proactive approach. There should be a full-blown work schedule, work description for the guidance and counseling coordinator. And for Christ's sake, recently I heard in the news, deans of discipline are going to be appointed. And I told myself, my singular opinion, this is a reactive approach. Why would we want to wait for something to happen, then the dean begin to do his work? Why don't we strengthen the guidance and counseling support, mental health support we have, so that teachers, students, and even relevant actors can benefit from? That would have been a proactive approach. Why don't GES ensure that all these guidance and counselors are registered with Ghana Psychology Council? They are properly trained. They take their CPDs. They have their consulting spaces. Even if we don't have buildings, let's go for 40-meter container. Let's fit them in. All students can help. Create 3-4 consulting spaces. They have a schedule of activity. Every student go through every semester. Why didn't we look at this proactive approach? And we are thinking of perhaps deans of discipline, which is a reactive approach. We are waiting for things to happen, then we usher them to action.
Doc, you've really opened a can of worms here. Much for us to think about.
Before I end, let me say this, please. Ghana Psychological Association, we are seeing this trend. Our psychology week is September 11th to September 17th. We have dedicated the Wednesday for adolescent mental health. I was going to call my sister Ampofo that we want to collaborate with her. All the regions of Ghana, the secondary schools, JSS, that particular Wednesday, September 13th, is dedicated for them. We want to run advocacy with their support so we increase this awareness.
Right.
This is what we can do as professionals. Department of Psychology, University of Ghana will support. All the other departments of psychology around Ghana will support. All practitioners will support. We need their help so that we address this. This has been fixed and see what is happening now. But we have seen it from clinical data, from research data, and that is why we fixed this date, September 13th. Adolescent mental health, improving it. Dare to care. That is the thing.
Yeah. Dr. Badu-Agyemang, this is something that here at Multimedia we're very interested in. We are very interested in ending bullying. And so if any such events are coming up, we are very interested in giving as much collaboration and support so that we can make a meaningful impact on this horrible canker. Listen, let's wrap things up and then open the phone lines because I want to hear from you. This is something that affects us all. We've all been to secondary school. If you've been in a boarding house, were you ever a victim of bullying or were you ever a bully? And this is something if you're someone who regrets your actions and want to educate us on it, your state of mind, what made you do it, we would love to hear from you. So listen, we're opening the lines in just a moment. But just before that, I want us to wrap with Dr. Collins Badu-Agyemang. Doc, this issue of adolescent mental health. You've already pointed out the fact that everyone involved is affected by bullying. Okay, so not just the victim, but even the onlookers and the perpetrator, the culprit, the bully himself. They are all affected mentally by the act of bullying. You said something about suicide, and I was interested. Tell me, is there some correlation between bullying and suicide?
Yes, Kwejo, there is. And I will be very happy if there will be an opportunity to discuss adolescent mental health only.
We're right ahead of
my
you.
My good friends,
we want to do that tomorrow, Doc, if you're available.
Yes, that could be possible.
Perfect.
I mean, after that, the producers can get in touch with my colleagues, Professor Joseph Osafo, Niboy Kwashi, Kweku Opon Asante, Samuel Ajololo. These are colleagues, Professor Anum. These are colleagues who have done narrowed in on adolescent mental health. One of them that readily comes to mind, Samuel Ajololo and Professor Anum, did a work looking at adverse life experiences of adolescent school-going students in a recent article project that they did. And you could, when you read this article, you see the myriads of experiences these school-going adolescents go through and how it is affecting their mental health. Now, from the Center for Suicide and Violence Research Center, there is a strong link between bullying and suicidal ideation. If I am bullied, I begin to feel low. I begin to feel I am an out group. I don't belong. It begins to affect my self-esteem. If I do not have a strong coping mechanism, and these are adolescents. Remember, we have 14, 15-year-olds, even at the university. They go through a lot of experiences. A recent one has to do with sexual violence that these young adolescents are being exposed to in many of these universities. Cases upon cases. Go to the various hostels and gather the experiences some students are enduring, going through. And all these continue to happen. Those who may not be resilient enough, those who may not have strong coping mechanisms, those who may not appreciate the systems to seek help, these ones continue to bottle them up, and over time it begins to affect how they think, how they feel, and that begins to affect how they feel. And that is a psychological triangle. And that consistently, if not checked, can break down their mental health. Now they start developing poorer mental health. In the case of bullying, I don't belong, nobody cares about me, and this person begins to think, I'm better off not alive than to go through these kinds of humiliation.
You know what, Doc? We're going to speak to you off air and try and arrange for you and your colleagues to join us tomorrow. This is a conversation that we have to keep going. You've raised some very important issues, and we absolutely have to engage and find solutions to this. Our children's well-being is at stake, and so is their health, actually. I mean, their safety and well-being is at stake.